All right, good evening, everyone. It is October 4th. It is Tuesday. I hope everyone had a good day in the market. And in tonight's session, I will be going over a lot of my core values and core strategies when I am day trading in the morning, right? Every morning. I'm done every single day around 12:30. I go and enjoy my day and live my life, right? Wealth is not only monetary, wealth is also with time, right? Time is much more valuable than money. So, just to start off, we're going to talk about our 30-minute orb. Okay. A lot of traders have sat here and, I get the question all the time, what's an orb, right? Your orb is your opening range breakout. Many traders use different perspectives. Obviously, the smaller time frame orb, the more aggressive. Just to keep my kind of trading principles constant, I use a 30-minute orb, right? Which I think is one of the strongest kind of orbs to use. So it also helps a lot of traders refrain from taking any trades the first 30 minutes. But like today, granted one solid trade off of the orb, right? The orb breaking base, but kind of, consolidated and faded until, I guess into that Tesla news, right? So, your 30-minute orb, the way that you plot this, I will blow this up. You want to go to your 30-minute chart. Obviously, at 10 a.m. every single day, you're going to have your 30-minute orb candle, right? This is just your first 30-minute candle, right? You can go on this day and do the same. Whoops, not this day. Not that tool. Like so. You can go this day, like so. Right? So you want to plot these out. It's just the first 30-minute candle of the day. Very simplistic, right? But there's some core kind of values or some kind of key things to look at when trading your 30-minute orb. This is just a handful of things. You can talk about this, really, dig deeper into what and how to trade the orb. But this is my kind of point of view, okay? So if there's no breakout over the orb high or the orb low, it likely is a range day or will be a range day, okay? So I want to find an example where we don't break out of the 30-minute orb. Let's see. This one's not so bad. It does break, but it kind of maintains within it, but this one's not so bad, right? So first 30-minute candle. It does break, but it doesn't base. Remember, I don't like to chase 30-minute orb breaks. I always look for the base, and if I do see a base, that's a trade that I'll take 10 out of 10 times, okay? So 30-minute orb break, but no base. They are buying all below this orb, and they push it up back to the orb high, right? So like this to me technically is a range day. Not a ton of meat on the bone, but, look at this as well. This is FOMC. But you can see the first 30-minute candle here, right? First 30-minute candle, all prior to FOMC was consolidating within your 30-minute orb high and low, right? It will range, and it will be a range day until you get a break above or below with sustaining volume, right? Or the confirmation of a base, okay? So let's talk about today's price action and how you could have traded today using your 30-minute orb, okay? So whether you take a trade based off of the orb or you're using your 30-minute orb to hold on to your trade for longer, either perspective works out, okay? So we have our 30-minute. Let's go on to 5-minute, okay? So right here, a lot of you guys took this trade today, and if you didn't, you likely, just held on to your trade. What time is this? 10:30. What did I take? Did I take anything at 10:30? Oh yeah, right here. Okay, I took SPX 3820 calls, right? Now this is on the Qs. You can go on SPY and do the same, but the indexes are, pretty similar, right? So you have a break over the orb high. I do not buy orb high breaks, okay? Do not do this. You market by this 5-minute candle, you are going to get filled up here in this upper wick, and I can just draw a little box, little zone on that upper wick, and you are exit liquidity, right? I mean, where are you profitable on this market buy? Maybe for a few minutes here, for a few cents, but you are exit liquidity at the end of the day if you market buy an orb high or orb low break. Now, sometimes it works out. My job as a trader is not to yearn and seek out anomalies. It's to trade consistencies, and consistently you will find yourself wasting your capital trading breakouts. Right? We talked about this, or I've mentioned it on Twitter. You guys, if you've been a part of the stream for however long, you're gonna understand and hear me talking about breakouts in a negative kind of connotation, right? So when it based here 1025 1030, right, you can see right here at this point, I didn't trade SPX based off the cues, but it did have some sense of confluence, right? SPX 3820 calls risking 30 cents. This is at 10:28 a.m. Okay, so right around 10:30, which is right around this base here, right? So break base. Now we can see if we snag the entry on the base, all it is that, right, previous resistance flips to support, right? It's a sentiment shift, a shift in power, right? So break base, this is where you take your entry. Why would I take this entry? You have the 30-minute orb high and the 5-minute 90 MA with confluence. Yes, this is not a trade that continues and makes a ton of money. You make good money on this trade. There's a reason why I was trading SPX, because I took QQQ at 939 and Amazon right after that for really solid gains. I traded SPX around this point in time because I wanted to have a later entry and scale out of that later entry much more quickly, right? So that I could lock in that profit, right? The rule is, golden rule, later entries dictate quicker profit taking, right? If I can't burn that into your skull, you're going to have a tough time, right? Especially chasing. So break base. We have the 30-minute orb high. That is a trade that I will take regardless of losing, right? Trading is probability based. If I say I'm going to take something 10 out of 10 times, and I know that trading is probability based, I know that I will lose some of those times. But because of how profitable this setup is, I will take it 10 out of 10 times. I will accept the risk, okay? Knowing that I may lose this trade a few times out of the 10. Okay, 30-minute orb high, 5-minute 90 MA there. It pops up. Now, there was that FOMO buyer, right? Like, I'll mark this level. We'll say FOMO bagger. Okay, this dude's holding an ugly bag here, right? Let me edit this on the left, okay? FOMO bagger, this is where they're like stuck, right? You guys hear about, shorts are trapped, longs are trapped. Retail traps themselves, okay? So if I take this entry and it pushes into a resistance, and I'm long, and it pushes into a resistance, and it breaks the pivot, I must scale, right? I must scale. I must move my stop loss up. What if I didn't scale out here, right? Look at this. You are going to toy with yourself. You're going to waste so much time, so much mental capital and financial capital, right? You're like, shit, I should have just taken profit earlier here, and it ends up being a loser, right? But if you can understand that if your job as a trader is to capture only pieces of the market, right? Not what you think is going to happen, right? Like a large trend that, yes, I was aiming for 285, but if it wasn't going to give it to me, I'm not going to sit there and hold and hope for it, right? So pivot break, scale. You see where the FOMO buyers were last time? You want to sell into them, right? Let them buy your contract. Sure, it could have gone higher, but like I just told you 5 minutes ago, my job is to not trade anomalies. It's to trade consistencies, okay? And I make money off of consistencies, okay? So that's a solid trade. Now, I'm going to show you another break and base, okay? Well, actually, I'm going to hold off for a minute. I'll go back to that because I need to finish, our 30-minute orb rules, okay? So it says, this is the next rule that I have written out. If it pushes to one orb level but cannot break through, it will likely reverse to the opposing orb level. Okay, so We saw this today. Remember, this is a 30-minute low, 30-minute candle high, right? I'll remove this. Okay, so these are orb levels, right? I'm sure everyone understands that now. The Qs sold off into this, right? Now, a lot of traders have this issue, and I can't say that I don't either, right? But as it pushes down, we must realize, right? What is Joe Schmo thinking right now, right? What was the novice retail trader thinking at this point in time? Just sit there, play some Jeopardy music. We can talk about it, think about it for just a minute, and I want you to sit here and ask yourself, what were you thinking, or what was maybe Joe Schmo or the novice retail trader thinking at this point in time at 115, right? Big dump was coming, Scared says, right? Get in short. Saul says short. Mako said it's going to 0, right? Puts. Okay, another golden rule, right? Puts on pop, okay? This popped up. Calls on a drop. Okay, now, sure, you can't use that in every single kind of inflection on the market or every single, reversal or leg or whatever, right? I totally understand that. But it will save you time and money understanding that, that whole saying is protecting you when you are yearning for an entry. If you're looking to chase puts on a drop at the 30-minute orb low, you're putting yourself in a really bad situation, right? Because if they bought here, yes, you could have set a pivotal demand lower, but this is your 30-minute orb low. If it cannot pierce the orb level, it will likely get sent back to where, right? Stated in my rules, the opposing orb level. So, 30-minute orb low, caught here, right? Little doji, flat body candle, whatever you want to call it. Drops down, respects the orb low area, right? And where's it going to go? Is it going to just pop up, reject? No, it's going to get sent back to where? The opposing orb level, the 30-minute orb high, if the 30-minute orb low cannot be broken through or pierced, okay? And that's exactly what happened. So if you are down here, you understand that you're not going to chase this short. You have no 5-minute 90 EMA tap. This is the 5-minute 90 EMA tap, right? You don't want to go short on the extension of an EMA, especially the 5. And you're like, well, honestly, I could base calls risking the low a day. This, like I said, if you can scale out into resistance, that's your job as a trader. Your job as a trader is not to hold on forever. You will leave money on the table. It's inevitable. Get used to it, right? It's a byproduct of being a trader. Our job is to lock in and profit and make money, not to capture from point A to point Z, okay? So we've covered over break and base, over the 30-minute orb high, what the orb levels are, what's going to happen if the orb pushes towards one level and can't pierce it. It will likely get sent back to the opposing level. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I want to go over a few more examples, okay? So we had a 30-minute orb high here, right? I plotted these out on the 30-minute. I just went back a few days. Okay, I just went back a few days. So let's say, hey, you missed the break and base on VWAP. It breaks the 30-minute orb high, right? Breaks it. Bases. Is this not the same trade that we saw today? Right? Broke it, based it, good area to base risk for calls. You make money on the higher high, right? So same thing here. Breaks it. Do you chase it? No. What? Right? You're like, well, Maple, why wouldn't I have just market bought and this went up to 275 at the end of the day? Because who's to say if you're trading, what is this? 10-3, what is that? Monday? Yeah, if you're trading a 0 DTE or if you're coming off a weekend, Monday, whatever, you likely, if you FOMO buy into this and it sells and sells and sells for 15 minutes, you're likely going to stop out. And where are you going to stop out? Where you should have bought in the first place, right? So it breaks, we don't chase. It bases, I took this trade, right? Bases, and then continues higher, right? Always look for your 30-minute orb base. Now, let's go to another example here. Perfect, right? Look. The day prior, this is Friday, I believe. Friday from last week, right? 30-minute orb high, 30-minute orb low. It breaks it. Do you chase the break? No. What do you look for? The base. Break base. I take this fucking trade 10 out of 10 times. I don't care if I lose on it because I just showed you 3 days in a row where it paid, right? Break base. You break a pivot high, you fucking scale, right? I don't care if you're like, oh, it's not enough money. It's not scale, okay? You guys will begin to understand the profitable trader mindset when you start locking in profit. Okay, I know that there's those days where you scale for $30 or $50 a contract and it goes 200 or 300. That's fine. Did you deserve the 200 or 300 a contract? Was that a part of your plan? Okay, that's your answer, right? I'm gonna let you answer that yourself. Oh shit, hold on. So we had this day, 30-minute orb high. Okay, so that's fine. Those were all the examples. Oh, actually, let's see. Oh, look, right here. This day, right? You had a break in base on the orb high, continued. Didn't I say this is a high quality setup trade, right? It breaks the orb low. You see this red line, breaks the orb low. Don't chase it, especially at the end of the day. If you're trading, 0DT Fridays at the end of the day, this is going to kill you, right? Theta is going to wash you. Break, look for the base, 5-minute 9 EMA and 20 EMA confluence with the orb low breaking base, and you're buying puts on a pullback, A plus setup, right? Break, base, then it dumps. Look how much you capture, 270 all the way down to 267 point, so 2.5 points, right? Focus on this, guys, please. It will save you a lot of time, a lot of money, and they're high quality setups, right? What else do I have here? Pivots. Okay, so we've talked about pivots plenty of times. I took my Amazon calls around this area on the queues. Like, so I'm talking about time. I didn't take Amazon calls based off the queues, but around this time, like what time was it that I took those 122s? 9:58. So 10 a.m. Right? So 10 a.m. I took those 122s. 9:39 was it? This morning, yeah, 9:39 a.m. I took the QQQ 282 calls, right? And we also traded NVIDIA off the open. So we had great profit. Now, sometimes I get stuck into this because you do have days where it just fucking pushes up the rest of the day, right? So I was like, maybe that could be the point. I had already locked in a lot of profit, only had runners on. I wasn't looking to add for a continuation, so that was fine. But I should have trusted the pivots a little bit more at this point in the day, right? I was very green today, right? About 4% on the account. But, I could have made a lot more just following through with some simplistic pivots and not trading so much a bias or the euphoria from already having, or already being profitable on calls. And didn't give so much, weight to the bearish thesis, right? So at this point in time, when you're marking pivots, I ask you guys to look at your 3-minute, your 5-minute, or your 10-minute. 15 minutes great as well, but I really try to refrain from marking pivots on the one. I will still do it, but it's not the main pivot that I look for or, kind of base trades off of, okay? It's just too much noise. So at this point in time, right, like, I can probably clear this out now. Okay, so you had there's your pivot high. You get a higher high off of the higher low, right? Pops up. There's your high. Pulls back. Bounces higher low. You get a higher high here, right? I don't want to confuse anyone, so I'll just move these. And then here's your higher low where it bounces, okay? Now this is where it gets interesting, okay? So you had your higher low, new higher low. You on the next, like, this pulls back, it technically cracks a lower low. It doesn't close below, so it's not super strong because just be a wick out at that point in time from your analysis. But when it pushes up, it rejects hard. So you didn't get a continuation higher high, right? You got a lower high. So you right here have gotten lower highs. Let's see, 20 saves default. A lower high, and then truly the lower low here, right? This at this point in time, I should have set aside all bias, all yearning for continuation, and and I did trade puts, but I didn't hold on to them, right? I took them for a little scalp, and I was done trading, like I said, before 12. So, I wasn't going to be at the desk anyway at this point in time. But okay, your first lower high and first lower low. It's been a bullish trend. I will only go short over VWAP if I have a lower high confirmation to base risk off of, right? So the first lower high, the first lower low, that told you that price action was likely to reverse. Now it doesn't confirm and say that, hey, this 100% will happen. Sure, the Tesla news helped this out today, right? Like the Twitter Tesla news, Tesla's a huge kind of portion of the index, which is going to, obviously drag on this. I think Apple was showing a little bit of weakness today too. Yeah, it was already. But the first lower high, first lower low, that should bring you to VWAP. Anything below VWAP is bonus. These should be your runners at this point in time, right? But, mark your pivots. This is on a 5-minute, like I said. And you can do this on like any day. I want to try to find another reversal. Okay, so like this, right? So just like I said on today, VWAP is your main target. Anything below is bonus because, there should be runners at that point in time. And, if you're above VWAP, a lot of time, or above or below, a lot of times price, just gravitates to VWAP and then continues its trend. So this was from Monday, same kind of thing here, right? You got your first lower high right here. Okay, and then you broke your first lower low. Shit. Right here, right? So I can't just say that this is going to dump, right? This pulls all the way back to VWAP. I mean, you're like a few cents away from VWAP. Okay? That's a pivot on a 5-minute pivot, right? Pops up. It's still a lower high. You can see it's below this preceding pivot. But when it pulls back down, holds another higher low, right? This is technically a double bottom liquidity sweep here. So you had this pivot extending to the right. Now you had a higher low off of VWAP and a higher high, right? That you have two reversals very quickly. This is tricky, okay? Like a lot of traders would say, hey, this is a range kind of trade, but not a super clean range because it's not cleanly bouncing back and forth. You would have had to, the only way to capture this would have been the acceptance of risk off of VWAP and coupled with your pivotal kind of breakdown analysis, right? So first lower high, lower low, you scale, right? I look for the short on the first lower high. And this was not going to continue to sell off. What happens here is this. First lower high, first lower low. Retail gets excited. And they're like, okay, we're going to break through VWAP, right? I do not, advocate or, recommend VWAP breaks, okay? Always look, just like your 30-minute orb, look for the base. Okay, so a lot of traders, if you look at the chart at this point, right, you look at it like this. Retail traders are like, this is fucking going to 267, right? They're like, this is selling off. It broke a pivot. It's done. VWAP is still here. This is a crucial play, on any given day, okay? Bounces. VWAP acts as a magnet, right? Price gravitates towards it. They, sweep up liquidity, just like they bought off of VWAP earlier in the day. Pivotal change, and then it rips higher, okay? Mr. Harris said, do you consider a pivot an extended wick and reversal? Can you talk to me like I'm 5 years old? So like, I don't know, like for a pivot, like, it's tough off of the open, but like, this obviously is your pivot low, and I would be looking for a pivot high break. It breaks the pivot high. I don't like to go long on pivot highs, right? So, but this is your new pivot market. When it pulls back, right, I had this pivot marked. I remember this day. I had this pivot marked. I got stopped out right here, right? And that's a tough candle because I saw the bodies were kind of sloping down. I did see the buyers off of VWAP. Maybe my entry wasn't as prime, but this stopped me out. Although it doesn't close, below the pivot, right? So it's tricky. Like I said, I'm not perfect. No trader is perfect. But for me, I considered this the most recent pivot because off of this pullback, it bounced immediately. And it's very subjective. So this would have cut me right there, or it already did. What else do I have left for you guys? Okay, something else that you guys are struggling with or maybe having a hard time understanding, right? Buyer's bid and seller's ask, okay? So buyer's bid and seller's ask, I use this every single day. I hope that you guys use this every single day because all it is you're just going to identify either on a 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute chart, a series of bodies either open or close, aligning with the wicks above, okay? So what I mean by that is this. Let's go to the 10. Okay, this. So we had this seller's ask listed earlier, right? Like you see this flat, flat, flat. Yes, it does pop above, but the candle immediately closes back to this level, 282.30. I think like on the 5-minute, I had 282.50 actually. Yeah, okay, so it was like this, 282.50. Yeah, like right there. Okay, but yeah, I think at first I had it like this, so it doesn't matter. But this one, 10-minute chart, you can see all these upper wicks, right? Yes, you get one green candle. This is your trap candle, obviously. I mean, that was the peak of the day, and it sells off. It dumps. This is your trap candle, high of day fake out breakout. I try to refrain from taking breakouts as much as I can. It still happens, but not nearly as much as dip buys occur in my trading. Okay. So you saw this early on, like at 10-10, selling, selling, selling. A key thing that I asked you guys to do and how I traded puts off of this morning, if you want to go short, don't take the bait on the smaller time frame candles down here, right? Like don't, like here, let me go, this is your 5 down here, let's go, what is this, default 2? Okay, so like I marked all these wicks, right? Okay, so at this point in time, right, like it's selling off, traders like, fuck, take puts, and then they get washed. Okay, it's below the seller's ask again. They smack puts. They get washed because they're like, shit, it's about to continue. It's about to rip, right? They take puts again. They get washed, right? It pushes above to the seller's ask. If you can identify a seller's ask, trade with him, right? Money is made in the wicks. You've heard me say it plenty of times. Money is made in the wicks, and I strongly stand behind that statement. Okay, so now, like I said, I didn't hold on to these puts, but it still was a prime entry. Okay, I only scalped these for like, 10% or something like that. Let's see. Where are those puts at? 280p, risking the high of day, okay? 10:57 a.m. This is where I took puts, okay? So 10:57 a.m. Right here, this candle. Okay? Now, this was the seller's ask, like I talked about. Okay, so seller's ask. So you tell me why this was a good trade, right? It wasn't down here. I only stopped out because, I had already made my money on the day, like 4% on the account, and I was, I could have held on longer. I thought that we would see continuation, but honestly, it was just an unnecessary stop. Okay, so I had this trade here, right? It was in the seller's ask, right above it. If you look at the options contract here as well, 280p, 9:57. So what is this candle, right? That would be like it's 10:57. So it would be like the 10:55 a.m. candle. Yeah, look at that. This candle right here. Right on that support. There was no real reason for me to stop. I said under $1.30. Super dumb stop loss because you can see that this pops up, but I had confluence with the options contract and I took puts over the seller's ask, right? Same thing on the buyer's bid, okay? So like if you want to go long, try to, I mean, you're not going to see this every time, but most of the time, right? Look for a buyer's bid. So like, I don't know. I mean, let me see here. Okay, so like this, just like this. Okay, this is perfect. This is where I got stopped out. And I had a good entry, just, probably trading poor entry on a 0 day. Okay, 10-minute chart. You have a clear seller's ask, but you have a buyer's bid, right? Every time it pushes below 272, here, 272.11, okay, it was bought up. Was it not? 272.11. Every time it was below, it bought. Now, when it pops up above and it pushes back into the buyer's bid, the retail trader likely stops out, right? So, like I said, you probably see this 2-3 times a day. You're not going to see it on every single trade. Kind of a very fast succession of this buyer's bid or seller's ask would be like a tweezer bottom or tweezer top, right? Like up here. Tweezers, right? Flat body, wicks above, all that kind of good stuff, okay? Yeah, seller's ask, buyer's bid. So, we'll go through a few more examples here. Okay, like this. Okay, and it's really good to also identify when those buyers are, stopping out or, on vice versa, if the sellers are beginning to cover. Okay, so like at this point in the time, right, you had a buyer's bid right here, right? Tweezer bottoms, whatever you want to call it. Okay, 270.86. If you move over, right, they have a little demand zone right here, okay, but it closes deeper. You don't want to see candles closing with strength into these lower wicks or the buyer's bid, right? You want to see price getting pushed out of there, signified with wicks majority of the time, right? The moment this candle closed red like that, look at how buyers reacted, right? They stopped out. Don't chase breaks, okay? You ideally are in the trade before the buyers stop out so that you could capture the pivot low break, right? This breaks the low of day at that point in time, 270.46, right here. This is your profit that you lock in. You don't chase, right? Because on the flip side, think about it. Let's say you enter it on this pullback or even this one. You know that there are breakout buyers behind majority of trades, whether they work out or if it's a fake out breakout. So if it breaks out, people are just market buying, right? Sell into them. Lock in profit. Okay? What else do I have here? Let's see. And I guess like to touch on like Mr. Harris's kind of comment, I want to work on pivots a little bit more because, I didn't have a whole kind of examples or as many examples as I did like on the orb. But like on this point, right, like let's just break it down, right? So like you have, this is your pivot, pops over, higher high, right? Another higher high. Here's the most recent pivot, higher low. Okay, look, this is key, right? Look at that. So higher low, higher high. So it drops down, right? The bearish engulfing should have scared you, right? That for one is a red flag. Okay, bearish engulfing. Okay, but when it pops down, it tries to respect this pivot, right? You see buyer, buyer, buyer. But ultimately, this ends up being the next lower high with the 5-minute, 9, and 20 EMA. Or 10-minute, excuse me. And then it cracks a lower low. So the moment you got your first lower high and lower low, that's when the sell-off truly began, right? Not from the morning, but this leg here. Okay, now on the flip side, look at what happens. Remember, I said I will trade a reversal if there is an opposing pivotal shift. So, okay, from VWAP, you got your higher low confirmation, push up to VWAP rejected, okay? It is extended again from VWAP. So if I'm below VWAP, You know, look what happens to Joe Schmo, right? And I do this sometimes. Sometimes I'm Joe Schmo, right? Okay, so they're like, oh shit, go long, you get stopped out. Oh shit, go long, you get stopped out, right? What was their issue here? Why did those two traders lose? And what could they have done in order to prevent that loss? Fighting trend, broke pivot, right? Why would they go long there? Just because it's selling off, right? I don't think that's strong enough of a merit, right? FOMO. Now, when we're below VWAP, we need a higher low confirmation in order to reverse. So you got lower low, right? This is a lower low, lower low. Now look at this pivot. Okay, pops up. Now you pulls back a little bit. Now you have a pivot high. This is just a pivot high. It could be lower high, it could be higher high. You don't know at that point in time, right? Don't look at this yet. Now when it pulls back, this is your first higher low, right? That is the money ticket. Okay, this is where you should be looking for a reversal trade. Not just because you see some lower wicks or lower wicks here, you need a higher low confirmation under VWAP. On the flip side, above VWAP, you need a lower high confirmation, right? So pops up, pulls back, higher low. This is where you want to get your entry, basing risk either off of the low of day or this higher low pivot. You're aiming for the higher high. Now, let's say that you scale out majority of your contracts here off the pivot break, just like I teach and I tell all of you to do majority of the time, right? Which is fine. But you're going to sit there, oh man, it ripped higher, 272. You know how much money left on the table, blah, blah, blah. Stop saying that, right? Stop worrying about what you could have left or what you could have made and how much money you left on the table. You guys will sit there and fucking calculate money that will never be in your account because it wasn't to your plan, right? Like that is just such wasted time, effort, emotions, all that stuff. You're going to build bad habits that way. Okay, so higher low, higher high, scale. I don't care if it rips higher. Scale. It's like, fuck, you got like 40 minutes left in the day. Scale, okay? Pushes higher, right? Breaks another pivot. Base is off a new higher low. Well, I mean, you know, you guys probably hear this in your head, right? What do you think I'm screaming right there? Scale. You scale, you lock in profit, guys. I don't care. You know, your job in the market is to not get stupid rich off of one trade. Your job in the market is to get stupid rich off of a lot of base hits, a lot of consistent trades, right? Yeah, and a bullish 3-bar play, you know, EMA kind of breaking base on the 9, whatever you want to call it, right? There's a ton of different perspectives. So right there, someone's asking about, or my time said, money made in the wicks. Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's see. I need kind of, okay, right here. I think. No, let's see. Maybe I can go a little bit further. I mean, this is fine right here. Shit, this is solid. Okay, so like, you know, I know that we all talk about trading 0 DTE most of the time in the group. So most traders are already trading 0 DTE. You're right. Okay, so at this point in time, you have like, this is a doji method technically, right? But let's just mark the pivot high and like the pivot low area, right? So money's made in the wicks. Why would I say that, right? Remember, we like to identify where larger participants in the market are. Okay, we want to identify where a large seller is or a large buyer maybe. And I don't want to be extra liquidity or to get baited trading the opposing side, right? So like this, right? This is a pivot low break. Retail traders will buy this, right? They'll buy this drop down, or maybe they buy this one, this red candle, and then the following green candle pops back up the seller's ask, right? Pops up to the seller's ask. Let me mark it red. This one, seller's ask. Okay, seller's ask right here, okay? Money's made in the wicks. You see all these wicks above the seller's ask? You should not be taking any put unless it's within or above the seller's ask, right? Because the retail trader buys the breakout of the pivot low, which is the bullish territory, right? It's not going to sell off until those bulls stop out. Your few contracts are not going to sweat these market makers trading millions of dollars every day. Okay, your $500 position is dirt. Okay, we are little ants walking amongst giants. Every single, realize that. Okay, but we can walk away with a lot every single day if you can understand how they move. Okay, so money's made in the wicks. Oh, look at this. This wick was here. Let's just say you base it off these two wicks. They gave you prime entry here and prime entry here, right? So for about 20, 30-ish minutes, you had an opportunity to snag puts over the seller's ask, right? Now, if you took puts here, you likely got stopped out on this push at the very peak right there. You likely, from here, 269 all the way up to 270.11, a whole point, you likely stopped out. Okay, now not most, but likely. Okay, so money's made in the wicks. These are your prime put entries, and you can see why, right? I want to see if I can get another example, maybe for a bullish perspective. I don't know, this isn't super solid. Let me go back. This is only like 5 days. Let me go back like 20 days. Oh, okay, boom, right here, immediately. Okay, so right here, right at this point in time, retail traders are like, shit, this is gonna look, it broke the low a day, we're just gonna keep selling. Okay, look at these bodies. Does this not look super flat, right? Like these flat bodies, that's a buyer's bid. Okay, how many traders are gonna FOMO calls right there, thinking that they're gonna get a high day break, right? This is the setup. This is what they're looking at. Right, on a 1 minute, it's like a huge stick. Everyone's like fucking, losing their mind, right, on a huge stick. Then the 10-minute candle closes, and you're like, holy shit, this just went from 295.2 all the way to 293.8. You stop out. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You stop out. 90% of the time, you're going to stop out on that if you FOMO, right? So you're going to get fat X right here, okay? You're going to stop out. Now, you just stopped out in the prime entry, right? In the wicks, where you would have wanted your call. So this is the buyer's bid. Look at how much opportunity was down here to get an entry below the buyer's bid. Money is made in the wicks. Look at what follows after, right? Now, on the flip side, well, Maple, what about right here, right? We're above VWAP. This is a tweezer top. Why didn't it sell off? What's this purple line doing? Where are we in confluence with this purple line? We're above it. So I need what to go short? A lower high confirmation. Where is it at? You see a lower high? That's a higher high. See a lower high? Nope. 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 No. Right? Fuck no, you don't. So, that's the main kind of thing you guys should be looking for. But, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. It's been about 45 minutes. A lot of information to break down, right? But a lot of core values on how I trade and how you guys should be trying to simplify your trading, really reducing a lot of the noise. A lot of times, traders only lose because they're over analyzing. I run into it all the time, right? Like yesterday, like I was green. I wasn't happy about my trading session yesterday, but I was green, right? Oh shit. What the fuck? Hold on. Whatever. But like, I was trading Tesla on Monday and like, trading this when there was stronger, kind of levels or maybe better price at, whatever, other kind of core examples. There's days where it's going to be like that. And I totally accept that. But if we can reduce the amount of noise, right? I love trading Tesla, but this was a ton of noise. I mean, tons of chop. Yes, it did sell off, okay, but it wasn't as strong as like, like yesterday on the Qs where it just fucking went up on the 10-minute chart, right? Yeah, look. Yeah, look at it. Is a 10-minute 920 EMA broken all day? No, right? So, but I hope that you guys enjoyed this TA refresher. We'll do more of these because a lot of times it's just kind of reviews or just this or that, right? But this is a pretty solid, 30-minute orb, pivots, sellers ask, buyers bid, kind of breakdown. And I do hope that you learned something this evening, okay? I will be live tomorrow morning, 8:30 in the morning, just like I am every single day. And I will see you guys on Twitch as well, right? So, please study, review your trades from today. See what you need to do tonight to be a better trader tomorrow. Okay? Thank you all for your time this evening. I will catch you in the morning for the live trading session. Get some good rest, drink some water, stay hydrated, and let's have a great Wednesday. Thanks, guys.